Hello everyone, you've tuned into Business Today TV and I'm Aakanksha. Today we are joined by a very special guest. We have with us Mr. Arvind Panagariya. He is a professor at Columbia University. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. So, my first question to you is on the context of the price report. It says that India has seen a rise in the middle class, but in general, of course, there's a rise in general, but when we talk about exact sectors or regions in India, the South has seen south has the region in south has grown better, even the west has grown better, but east has lagged. So how do you think that east or other regions that have lagged can come at par with their peers? Do you think it has to be through subsidies, or do you think it has to be through state level tax reforms?
Yeah, so this has to do with the overall ecosystem, and therefore the states that really do want to catch up have to do multiple things to improve the ecosystem. That includes, say, infrastructure, but it also includes the business environment. So, for instance, labor laws, improve those, land prices, improve those. There are other business processes, all sorts of permissions, etc., that are required by the businessmen. And all those have to be improved as well. So there's multiple factors, that require changes to begin to catch up.
And so, talking about India's demographic dividend, now that we see we have this huge demographic dividend, but many believe that it might go untapped. A whole generation might go untapped because of all the macroeconomic conditions. On the other side, the price report says that there has been a rise in non-agricultural entrepreneurs in India. So, how do you think can the government support this ecosystem? Like you just spoke about reforms and laws and taxes on the other side. What other ways can the government help this sector from coming up and flourishing?
Okay, so once again, what we are the particular aspect of demography that I see is the working age population. This is going to grow much bigger in India between now. So between say 2021 to 2040, we are going to add about 150 million working age individuals, and these are the individuals we need to nurture. Good education. Clearly, our higher education system needs a lot of reforming. Hardly any reforms have actually happened because we are still being governed by the 1956 Act, the University Grants Commission Act. That certainly needs to be reformed in a number of different ways. We need to also bring the do things that are required to bring up the manufacturing. Manufacturing in India still has been a bit tepid. And there's some good action happening right now. A lot of investors are coming in and all. So this is a terrific timing. That would also, if we can really get the manufacturing right, then a lot of the skill upgradation that is required will also happen, because typically, the experience has been that this skill upgradation really happens in the factories. You generally migrate out of agriculture, come into industry or services, and initially you start out in some of the lower skilled activities, which are activities such as clothing, textiles. Footwear, furniture, etc., begin to acquire some skills and all, and then you move up the ladder, and that process in India has not worked very well so far. But that is precisely where the ecosystem issue comes in. That make the ecosystem friendlier to for the growth of manufacturing, and much of the rest will follow.
So, like you said, that the whole demographic dividend can be utilized when the labor is skilled, the labor is, and that one way to that is through manufacturing. And India, and like you said, many people are expressing interest in India as an investment opportunity. We have G20, many corporate and global leaders coming in and expressing their interest in India. What reforms do you think from the policy end can make India more lucrative to investments? or more lucrative to manufacturers to establish their hub in India, maybe move away from China, like what China did in the early 2000, what China did in the 2010s or late 2000s? How do you think that India can tap onto that opportunity?
So again, this is all about improving the ecosystem. One of the very important things that we need to do is ensure give the potential investors a very stable tax regime. You know, our tax men or tax women have the habit of spring surprises at businesses. There is this enormous propensity to find ways to raise more and more tax revenue. But when you do that, you scare away the businessmen. It is all fine to raise taxes, but the tax system should be very clear, transparent, so that when the business comes in and sees that, okay, these are the taxes I will owe, those are precisely the taxes that they end up owing, rather than being surprised by the tax departments knocking on their doors for taxes that were not clearly laid out in the system, or that the businesses did not anticipate while coming in and all. So that's one aspect. Infrastructure, which we are doing very well. I think there's been fantastic expansion of infrastructure, and that's something that we need to continue to do. Pace needs to be maintained. So on that one, I'm very optimistic, because the government indeed has figured out how to really rapidly ramp up the infrastructure. So that's very positive. We need to continue with our privatization of public sector enterprises and all, but also the land markets. Land markets in India are very, very distorted. Land is very expensive. Conversion of land from agriculture into industry, or for non-agricultural uses, tends to be very difficult. So these things, particularly if urbanization, any manufacturing expansion will go hand in hand with the expansion of urbanization. And that often requires, on the periphery of the cities, you need to be able to convert the land from agricultural to non-agricultural uses. So that's a state level reform. So states need to get into the act as well. And then we have these pending labor laws, which the four codes that have been enacted by the parliament, but they still have to be implemented. They have not been notified yet, because of some of the states not having written their rules and regulations. So we need to get that done as well.
Thank you so much for speaking with us, sir. Thank you so much.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.